All right, guys, real quick video on how to install your semi-DIY weld-in motor mounts for your Land Rover TDI project. So you get 3 welded motor mounts, brackets. You get some flat plates that you're going to have to weld yourself. You're going to have to supply the Anchor 2469. So these threads on each side are half 13, and they have these interlocking fingers. The reason I like these, they're like the Toyota rubber isolator, but they have interlocking fingers that act as a fail-safe. So if this ever does rip under torque, these interlocking fingers keep the engine from flying up, and hopefully that'll save your radiator fan from going through your radiator, stuff like that, or engine going through your hood. So you're going to get this bag of hardware with the motor mount kit. So it's pretty self-explanatory. I give you the nuts for the rubber isolators. You're going to get 5 short bolts and 1 long bolt. So this guy, and I'll show you this in a second, this bolts up on the left-hand side of the engine. So you just use 3 short bolts to bolt that guy on. This guy goes on the right-hand side. There is a notch for the shoulder on the front of the starter to clear that. Unfortunately, it's kind of a juggling match of installing the motor mount and the starter somewhat at the same time. You might have to loosen the motor mount to get the starter all the way in or out. It's really tight with these engines. There's really no way around that part, because the only other option is use the front motor mount on the TDI, and that's where air conditioning sits on a lot of these. So we don't want to do that. We want to use what we call the mid mount. So the long bolt, this is a really tight and kind of awkward fit. Some of these, it's just a matter of, is that bolt just a hair longer? But you put the flat side of the hex against the plate of the bracket and just give it a little persuasion. It should go right in. Consequently, it might be just a little bit tricky to get that back out. You might actually kind of have to pull on it and thread it out, so to say, counterclockwise. But otherwise, just the 2 other short bolts go in the bottom there. Okay, so you have the locking fingers on one side. So you will notice once you get this in, it'll become more obvious where the little nipple, whatever you want to call it, goes down versus going up. And then we're going to move over to the frame side. So here's our left-hand side. This is your new perch that's you're going to weld to your frame. So this just sits over the frame rail. It's adjustable because the frame rail slopes towards the back. So you can slide this forward or back depending on where you end up positioning your engine. Some of you are going to just leave it where the stock transmission holds it. Some of you are going to modify the transmission crossmember bracket and slide the engine and transmission forward. So these allow you to do that. These follow the slope of the frame rails, so you can slide them forward or back, weld them on where you want them. So the other side of this rubber isolator obviously goes in there, and then you tighten the nut down against like so. Lastly, before we head over to the motor to show you how the brackets fit on there, this is going to be your right-hand side perch bracket. So I have things are laser etched and labeled for you. So TDI Rover right-hand perch rear, right rear, and TDI Rover right-hand perch front right. And so the other part, if I can get the camera to show these 8 laser etched lines, there's 2 parallel lines, and there's no ends on them. That's basically a guideline if you want to just start out. So this plate is etched for the top side. Basically, if you just want to tack this real light just to get, starting point, when you get this thing in there, there's just going to be a variation of where this guy is going to want to sit in the end. And so instead of me welding this together and then you finding out, oh man, you know, this angle needs to change a little bit, I just ship these flat and I let you weld that part up yourself. So I'm going to take you over to the engine, show you how these two bolt on. That should be it. So before I kneel down in here, this is an ALH. So anything ALH or newer is going to have the same motor mounts. So as you can see, it's really tight in here. And you have, up inside there is the top bolt. And it's a bear to get to it. And then here's your two bottom ones. And this coolant tube that comes out, you can cut that off the main tube and cap that because that no longer gets used. But that's how that ends up sitting in there on this side. And then over here on this side, you're going to see all sorts of holes. So these are an accessory mount, or they can be used, I call them the front motor mount. So you're not going to want to use that as a motor mount for this because I imagine most Land Rover owners are going to want air conditioning. So we're going to use this hole, and this hole. So you're going to clean those out. They're M10 by 1.5 on both sides. All 6 holes are M10 by 1.5. And that just installs there like so. So again, different engines have different turbos, different sizes and mounting configurations. Starter from your Land Rover gets used. That's why you have that little cutout to clear that. And I think that should explain about all of it. If you do need to clock your turbo, these are clockable. As always, if you have any suggestions on changes you'd like me to make, don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. So on this guy, I did update this. I made a slot to allow dirt and water to drain down. So that'll be coming on the next revision of this guy. It did get made solid all the way across, so I'll put a little drain hole either on the corners or in the middle of this one. Other than that, if you got any other things you'd like me to update for the next batch, just let me know. Thanks, guys.